Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about hiring a designer for print on demand. Let's get into it.
If you're looking for a podcast that's fun, the Print on Demand cast is second to none. Travis and Josiah, they keep it real, dishing out advice with a comic appeal. The Print on Demand cast, it's the best of the best, covering all things print on demand. You won't be stressed, weekly dad jokes to make you groan, but you'll keep coming back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Print on Demand cast. It is great to have you all with us again. Joining me, as always, Travis Ross from Make Your Mark Design. Travis, happy Tuesday morning. We're recording a little earlier than we usually do for the Print on Demand cast, just in terms of the time of day.
Right.
But they're getting our best. Well, they're getting our firsts, really, the first groups of our day. We'll see what happens. But hey, long weekend. How was your Labor Day? How did you guys do anything fun? How did that shape up for the Ross family?
Yeah, we had a good time. We went out to a lake. Our keyboard player has a place on a lake, and where she's got like a camper that's like always there. And so we got to bring our pop up and hang out there at the lake, do a lot of paddle boarding. I was noticing my shoulders were a little bit sore from all the paddle boarding we were doing. It was great weather, gorgeous, and played some spike ball with my son.
Nice.
We're a really good team. I think it's because he's really good, because he beat me one-on-one like 3 or 4 games in a row. It was
That's
I
awesome.
did have a 22, got to win by 2, but he won by 2.
Nice. Yeah, there's also a paddle or pickleball spike ball hybrid game out there that you use the pickleball
really?
paddles with. Yeah, I've seen it, haven't played it, but yeah,
Sounds like fun.
we also went out to the lake. We went to the Horsetooth Reservoir up here in Fort Collins, which I'd never been to it before, but it's
cool,
stunning up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so Madeline's sister, her boyfriend, and his family are up there, and they have a boat. So we went out on the boat and did some tubing, and felt like I was in a car accident. Monday morning, we went Sunday for the day, and then Monday morning I wake up, and because you're holding onto the tube, and the waves are just, you're just getting bludgeoned to death as the waves have their way with you. And so did that. Did some paddle boarding and Beersby and cornhole, the whole thing. So. Yeah. Had a great time, but very sore. My shoulders are very sore as well. We paddled quite all the way around the kind of marina area there. So it was a good time. If you're ever in Colorado visiting and you're like, hey, where's a good place to camp or go hike or paddleboard, Horsetooth in Fort Collins, in the Fort Collins area is awesome. I would definitely recommend it, and we'll be hopefully going again soon. So all right, well, we're here with a brand new episode of the Print on Demand cast, again, talking about hiring a designer for print on demand. But before we do that, we're going to go to everyone's favorite segment, this week's Weekly Dad Joke.
Time for the Weekly Dad Joke.
All right, Travis, this week's Weekly Dad Joke is actually a little bit of breaking news, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just coming across the wire, as they used to say. But it turns out Count Chocula, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and the Teddy Grahams bear have all perished in a fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, they'll be s'more at 11. All right. Yeah, this delicious breaking news.
If you're offended by that joke, I completely agree.
So, I'm moving right along here. Travis, this week you've got something for us, playground.com, and we're going to let people figure out what they think that means as we go to this week's point of interest.
Point of interest.
All right, Travis, tell us, what in the world is playground.com?
Well, as you guys have, I'm sure, realized by now, AI is taking over the world.
The intro you heard at the top of the show, that was AI.
Yep. And it just keeps getting more and more prolific, and print on demand industry is, no stranger to it. We've been kind of jumping on the bandwagon since day one. Well, playground.com is yet another AI generating tool. I actually just came across it on Facebook, and someone, I don't know if it was an ad or something, and somebody was talking about it. And so I just jumped over there and was checking it out. And it's kind of interesting because what it does is it kind of combines Kittle with AI, I guess you could say. And so basically what they're doing is they're creating all these templates for you in different categories. And actually I'm going to jump to my screen here. We can take a look if you're watching this. So this is Playground, and you see all these different categories. So you can, where they have templates. So you have logo, t-shirt, social media post, art, mock-ups, stickers, wallpaper, posters, all this stuff, seamless patterns, memes, even ebook cover. So you basically choose a category, and then you'll see all of these different, designs, I guess, and templates. And so let's choose t-shirt, and let's take a look at what we've got here. And you see all of these different designs, and a lot of them have text on them. So what they're saying is you can actually edit the text, or you can edit, the
and historically, just for context, AI has not done well with text up to this point. So
except for ideogram.
Ideogram seems that one seems to be one of the few. But overall, most generators are having problems. So the question is, how well does it do with text when you're wanting to customize one of these templates?
So I'm obviously very new to this, because I literally found this out just this morning, saw it just this morning. And so I jumped in and I tried to create a poster, and I'll show you that in just a second. But I guess in the meantime, let's just grab one of these. I like this Cats for President 2024, kind of in the Obama, genre, with the red and the blue. And so let's change this to a dog. So when you click in the little box, it gives you options to add or change text or change something else or replace. So I'm going to replace the cat with a dog. And I don't know if I can do two things at once. So let's try to change it to and replace the word cats with the word dogs. And let's just see what this comes up with. So we're going to push the create button and wait for it to generate here. So we'll talk about other things while this happens.
Talk about the weather, or
Oh my gosh!
Hey, my gosh! It did it.
Yeah. Nice. So replace the dog. That's a heck of a red nose there, but still, that's really, really, really cool. So it replaced the cat, obviously, with a dog, and then it says "Dogs for President 2024." So if I go back, you have a little section that says My Designs here, and I'll show you kind of what I did. So there's the Dogs for President that we just did. This picture over on the right, it looks like kind of a futuristic
red. Star Wars.
Yeah, it looks like Star Wars. And originally it was a poster, and it said Mars. And I said, change the text to say Visit Mars. And you can see how it kind of looks like it's spelled Vidget, and the V is not the best. And I actually tried this twice. I tried to do it twice, and it still kind of didn't do that great. This one in the middle here that says "Be Kind," it's a sticker, and I think the original one, what did it say? It said I can't remember. It said something else, and I said change the words to "Be Kind."
Motivational,
yeah, and did a really good job. It's got the outline, you know, and all of that. And then, of course, the dogs for president. So I guess once you have something here, you can actually resize it in this particular
Wow.
interface. And so you can, I thought they said you could upscale it, but I'm not seeing that option. But if I want to, I can then share it. I'm assuming that's how I download it. Oh, yeah, right here. If you get the pro version, okay, you can upscale it by 4 times. So
Remove the background.
and remove the background. So that's really cool. I mean, obviously you could still probably take this, since it's a sticker, it's small enough that the DPI would be big enough to probably use on a sticker. And you wouldn't get much pixelization. However, if you're doing like posters and stuff, you may consider going to the pro version. So you can upscale it natively and then remove that. Well, I guess if you're a poster, you probably wouldn't need to remove the background, but you get the idea. So kind of cool, kind of a cool, fun, you know, new fun way to waste a bunch of time.
Exactly. I
And
was just gonna say it's a perfect rabbit hole for your day. If you're going to be productive today, we've ruined it right out of the gate on
right
your
out of the
Wednesday
gate.
morning. Just playground.com. But no, there's lots of cool stuff that you can do. And I'm impressed with the transition or how it changed and swapped the cat for the dog. Very seamlessly. So you could
it's pretty
actually
cool.
be pretty productive and find some stuff to sell on. And it also has mock-ups and posters for those, for those watching or listening. You should be watching on YouTube as well. But there's lots of different categories. There's logos, t-shirts, social media, memes that you can get into.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That could be worth the price of admission right there, really.
Yep.
The ability to easily edit memes. If you click on one, do you have to say it's like
trying to fit in my pre-quarantine pants.
It's a cat that's just massively large. It is a fat cat in the literal sense. Yeah, that's awesome. So you can have a lot of fun with the memes. You probably replace the image, replace the text.
See a lot of really cool things. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you do something like that and you want to share it in the Facebook group, that's totally cool. We'd love to see what you guys create with playground.com. Cool new AI tool.
Absolutely. So that's it for this week's main event. And we're going to go, this week's point of interest. It's early. I haven't had any coffee. So we're going to go straight into this week's main event.
Main event, 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 main event.
All right, hiring a designer for print on demand. So we're going to go through a couple of things to keep in mind, basically how you want to post the job, where you want to post the job, and kind of how to communicate with the designer, how to get the one that you want to work with, how to test them. So kind of the whole process that we've used multiple times in our own lives in the print on demand world and getting in designers for our companies. And so I guess, Travis, the first thing would be, where do you want to create your designs? Because you don't necessarily have to hire someone to do it. You could do it. There's lots of sites out there that could help you get a head start on it really easy. But what are some of the options for people if they want to create their own designs, or if they're going to want to hire someone to go ahead and take care of that for them?
Yeah, you're just trying to figure out, before you even post it, you want to figure out how you're going to do this. And it's probably the way you're doing it now by yourself. That's probably the best place to start. So maybe you have a subscription to Kittl, and you're going in there and you're editing the text and you're changing things. So you already kind of have a process for that. Maybe that's the way you want to, that's the person you want to hire. You want to hire somebody that has a little bit of creativity, but they have kind of a predetermined template that they're going for, et cetera, et cetera. You can do the same thing with like a Vexels account. There's a lot of other, softwares out there that will give you options that you can then edit. You could buy some PSD designs where you could change them in Photoshop or something like that, or maybe you just want to kind of start by hiring a designer, an actual illustrator, somebody that's actually going to put digital pen to digital paper and come up with
Yeah.
some some original designs that aren't templatized, but you need to decide that first. Like, what is this process going to be? And that leads right into our second point, which is you need to decide the process for actually getting a design from idea to created.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps that need to go in there, and so you need to decide that process. And again, it could be just exactly what you're doing right now. um, if you listened to episode 209, I talked about a design assignment spreadsheet, and I talked about how we use that in our business to take an idea and then basically move it along the process to where it becomes a design, and then it moves to another spreadsheet and blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
If you are interested in learning about that process and specifically how I do things, you can join me for our print on demand foundations challenge that we're going to be doing in September. And you can find more information about that at printondemandcast.com/foundations. That's coming up here in just a few weeks, and got a lot of people signed up already. Looking forward to sharing those spreadsheets with you guys, talking about how to be organized, how to have that foundation of the print on demand success pyramid that we talked about on recent episodes. And, because it really is kind of the foundation of all of the things that you do. It informs all of the different steps, in your print on demand business. So, but the idea behind the design assignment sheet is that it's taking it from idea to an actual design. Ideas are a dime a dozen. It's the implementation that actually matters. And so how are
Yeah.
you going to implement that idea that you have? Are you going to just go out and look for ideas and then tell the person what to do? Or are you going to go find the templates in Kittle and then say, do these? Or, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about this.
Yeah. So after you get the first two steps or first two items, you want to create your job post. And there's some things you can have in it that's kind of advantageous. I know Travis has an example, job post text that you can kind of use, glean off of, modify, of course, for your own purposes, for your own position. But this is something that's been refined over years of us hiring and using sites like online jobs or Upwork or what have you, whether you're hiring someone that's overseas or someone that's local in the States. There's some good things that you're going to want to have in the post itself. So Travis, do you have that example text?
Yeah.
We can kind of talk through it. You don't necessarily have to show it, but kind of just share some of the stuff that you've learned is pertinent in job posting.
Yeah. So, I've done, hundreds of job posts over the years for all kinds of different projects. And one of the most recent ones, when we were looking for a designer that I used, was very, very simple. And the title was Create Editable Graphics Based on Example Designs. And then it said, designer will be tasked with making unique editable graphics based on provided examples. Designs are broken up into 3 categories and will be able to be worked on individually. A creative mind is encouraged for this job, as imagination is needed to design these graphics in a way that resembles but does not just trace the original design. Experience with Photoshop is required for this job, as we will need the files provided to us in the PSD format. Illustrator experience is also encouraged. And then there's some other things, that you can put on scope and all of these other things. But one kind of hack for this is you can actually go into, and we're going to get to Upwork.com later, but it's a job posting platform, and you can go into Upwork and you can look at other jobs. So you can, like I just went to, there's a little drop down at the top, and you can, in the search bar, and you can select jobs, talent, or projects. And so I went to jobs and I just typed in design for print on demand. So I want to see what other people are using as their text to hire a print on demand designer. And so I looked at some of those, and some of them weren't as, applicable as others, but there's a couple of really good ones in there, and you can take some of that text and then make it your own and tweak it as needed, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing you can do is to kind of help sort through applicants, because you're going to get Well, the goal, I guess, or the hope is to get inundated with applications of who applied to what. And if you've got multiple job postings, it's good to use a job ID or create a job ID to make it easier to
Mm-hmm.
find the job. It's something that when I was doing hiring for a company here in Colorado, 21 locations that I was hiring for, and
Mm-hmm.
my days were just front to back slammed with applicants. And so I created a job ID on Indeed, and that helped me kind of track when they would apply.
Indeed, you did.
Indeed, I did. Nice. That's the second dad joke for everybody. It's a nice pun. So, um, but it just kind of helps you keep track of what's going on, who applied for what, and kind of helps
Mm-hmm.
you keep streamlined through the process. So it's another thing you can take advantage of and use as well to help you kind of get a leg up on keeping track of who's where. Another
Yeah.
thing you can do is give test jobs to applicants you are considering,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can see, oftentimes they'll send their, portfolio or examples of their work, but you want to see how they work, how do their work look, how quickly do they get back to you, how communicative are they to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you want to know if they included the code words. The code word is something you can put in that job text,
Mm-hmm.
to say that when applying, include the word pineapples or something, whatever, so that that they read the job posts and that they
Right.
actually scrolled through and paid attention, looked at the details. You want to put that code word at the bottom so that they won't have to read the entirety of the job posting and the requirements and what you're expecting and your expectations. And then I encourage them to use that code word when applying. But that's
Right.
what you're going to want to look for. And then those that do use the code word, those that you like the way their work looks, you can kind of move them into a testing phase. Travis,
Right.
how have you in the past tested applicants that you're looking to hire to be a part of your design team?
Yeah, so we would typically give them 2 to 3 designs that they would design for or create a design, and it would be in a specific niche. And so I might give this same prompt, if you will, to all of the applicants, the same thing. So I want you to create, we always use nurses, as an example, but I want you to create 3 designs that a nurse would want to wear on a t-shirt, um, and get those back to me within a certain amount of time. So you want to put a timeline on this, get them
Yep.
back to me within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever makes sense to you. And then you do upfront tell them, I will pay you for these designs. And you tell them how much you're going to pay. I'm going to pay you $5 for each of these designs, as a test. And obviously you're not going to, if you get 30 or 40 applicants, you're going to kind of, uh, weed out the bad ones, I guess, so to speak, and really
Yeah.
choose the ones that you think that based on what they provided to you, their portfolio or, whatever, obviously knocking out all the ones that didn't put the code word in is going to take out half of them probably. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so once you have decided, hey, I'm going to give this job or I'm going to give this test to maybe 3, 4, 5 people, and
Mhm.
it's based on your budget. Maybe you only want to charge or do 2 designs per applicant, so costs a little less. Maybe you say $4 instead of $5, or whatever the case may be. Those 3 or 4 or 5 people will then go through the process. You'll see, again, like Josiah said, you'll see the timeliness. How quickly did they get back to you? How communicative are they? Are they asking you questions about, do you have a specific color in mind? That's
Yep.
actually really cool if they ask that. They might just go back to work and then come back with, the 2 or 3 designs, and they might blow you out of the water. But depending on, their level of comfort with this process, they might ask you a couple of questions, and that's always a good sign. Now, if they ask you a bunch of questions and they still come back with crap, well, sorry, that's not the person for you. But
Yeah.
you get the idea. You're learning all of these different things. You are paying for it, but then the cool thing is that you can actually use all of those designs, in your Merch by Amazon account, or on your Etsy account or
Yeah.
whatever, because you've paid for them. They're yours. And so that's that's the bonus of this testing phase, but it also will lead you to your 1 or 2 or 3 or however many people you want to actually hire.
Right.
It'll lead you right to them because you're going to see their work. You're going to learn all of these things that this testing phase provides for you.
Yeah. And in Upwork, Travis, when you're going to choose a designer, they have milestones that you can use to pay
Uh-huh.
out as you move forward, correct? So obviously Upwork takes a percentage of whatever that payment is if you're working inside of Upwork's ecosystem. But you can use different milestones for when they achieve this, they get the payout, and it kind of helps track
Mhm.
it that way as well. And you can test as long as you like until you get something you feel works long term. I'm not necessarily encouraging you to dangle the carrot in front of this poor person and forever, but you can
Mhm.
test just to make sure that you feel comfortable with their response time, you like their work, and there's a good
Mhm.
chemistry between the two of you. And then you want to decide if you want to pay by the design or pay by the hour. I've done
Mhm.
both. I know, Travis, I believe you've probably done both in different
Yep.
scenarios. I have found that if you want to do pay by the hour, you're going to want to use something like Hubstaff that helps kind of
Mhm.
keep them accountable for the hours worked because they could say this design took 8 hours and you're just taking their word for it and wanting
Right.
to kind of see. And then you have to kind of look at the work and then make a decision whether you think that actually took 8 hours, and it gets really messy. So if you have something that helps kind of keep them accountable as things go on, then that helps. Upwork has something built into its ecosystem natively that does the same
Right.
thing for you. Or you can just pay by the design, whether it's, if $5, $10, $15, whatever that looks like, whatever you agree upon for each
Mhm.
design they create, and whatever is most budget friendly for you going forward.
Yeah, we've got a bonus tip for you at the end that kind of gives you I don't want to I don't want to give it away, but basically it allows you to get more work out of, or more designs rather, out of your designer, and justify
Yeah.
paying less for those designs. So, I mean, if somebody's like literally illustrating it from scratch, and starting with a blank page, and you say, make me a really cool nurse shirt, and they're, using specific fonts, or maybe they're even hand drawing the fonts, and they're drawing all of the different elements for the design,
Yeah.
that's going to cost a lot more
Yep.
than a bunch of text-based designs, or a bunch of designs that, like a Kittle redesign kind of type thing,
Yeah.
so consider that in how you're deciding to pay for these designs. But yeah, I agree. I think for me, paying by the design is better. And then the other thing is like, realize that the more work you give them, or the more designs you ask them for, you can to potentially and probably pay less per design, because you're
Yeah.
giving them a whole bunch of work.
Yeah.
They don't have to go get another job for 5 designs, if you're going to give them 50,
Yeah.
so that keep that in mind as you're moving forward with your workflow. There's a couple other things that you need to consider with your workflow, not just paying them, but like all of this other stuff. Josiah, what do you think are some other like workflow
Yeah.
hacks?
Yeah. So just wanting to figure out where are they putting the designs for you to have access to
That's a
at the
good
end of
thing.
the day. Yeah, exactly. So, we used Dropbox a lot, give them a Dropbox folder and basically gave them a kind of a root a folder system and how to name the folders and the month, the day, all that kind of stuff. So we knew exactly where to find them once he was done submitting them. But that can look however you want as far as that hierarchy of folders and how that flow works
Mhm.
is whatever works best for you. Or you can use Google Drive as well. Works the same way. I know, Travis, you've used Wasabi. We talked
Yep.
about that a couple episodes ago. Kind of like a Dropbox alternative, but a little bit more maybe intuitive than Dropbox is for some purposes. But
Mhm.
you can use that as well. And then what's the messaging system like in terms of ways of communications? If they're
Right.
stateside, probably text is fine. Email maybe, because at most they're maybe 2-3 hours ahead of you. But if you're looking overseas, I know we used WhatsApp a lot with our designers, Slack
Mhm.
with our designers as well. Even Gmail's kind of native chat system like Google Chat that they have embedded in there also works. But just deciding how you guys going to communicate and how you're going to assign tasks. Where do they know where to go to find that? And a lot of that, in terms of do they know where to go to find their assignments, how's it look, is kind of rolling straight into the next point of training your new designer.
Right.
And so Travis, anything before we move on to that, anything about kind of the workflow segment or portion that you want to comment on in terms of, where they put the designs, messaging system, stuff like that?
Yeah, I would just say make it easy on yourself. If you're using Google for everything, you're putting it in Google Drive. You've got Google spreadsheets to track all this stuff. Consider using that Google Messenger type thing. You know what I mean? So just keep it kind of native. One free tool that we used a lot before we ended up going the Microsoft way. We now use Microsoft Teams for a lot of things, but we use Slack, and Slack is a free tool, and you can share files and obviously chat and share pictures and all of this stuff. And the cool thing about it, you can break it up into channels. So if you have like designers, you have admin virtual assistants, listers, creators, if you have a bigger team, it can really kind of organize some of that communication. But then also you can direct message them, and say, hey, I just saw this thing on the news, it's trending, I need you to drop everything and design this one thing. So Slack it's free. I think the messages start deleting after like 10,000 messages or something like that on the free plan. But it's a great way to start if you don't necessarily have anything that's native, like a Google or, anything like that. If you're using Dropbox and you use it for this and you're using this for that. And, Slack can kind of bring all of that together for you, because you do want to have a good communication system. And in my opinion, I mean, yes, text, WhatsApp, those types of things can work when you have one or two people. But once you start having a larger team, we always talk about plan now for what you want to be in the future. Like make the systems work when you have 5 virtual assistants or 10 or however many. So consider that as you're making that decision on what communication app to use.
Absolutely. And so moving forward into training your designer, you're going to rely a lot on SOPs and standard operating procedures. Man, I can't talk this morning. But laying out the process for them in a really clear and defined way, whether that's a mixture of both, text-based documents and videos, or leaning heavy into videos or leaning heavy into text-based. That's up to you, however you want to do it. But giving them enough resources to be able to then help work through a problem themselves, so they're not always calling you. You want to make sure that those SOPs are really dialed in and kind of leave no stone unturned, so that you can maybe do one training call, and then if they have any questions after that, they can refer to the SOP and have the answers that they're going to need. For the most part, there might be a couple outliers and anomalies there where they have to reach out to you, which is fine. But you want to make sure those are really, really ironed out and detailed. Travis, any thoughts on SOPs?
One of the cool things, so what I'll do, or what we've done with our company, is, so we have, obviously multiple VAs, and you might not want to do this if you just have one virtual assistant, one designer that's working for you. But if you have like an admin virtual assistant and a designer, you might be able to, like, what we've done is, like, I'll create videos and I'll, kind of screen share videos, and I'll say, well, I want to do this, and then put it in this spreadsheet or whatever. And I'll do a whole video on it. And then I'll tell my admin VA, I'll say, watch this video and then create the SOP in text base, have the video there, but then create the text based and maybe some screenshots and all of that. So when you do hire a new designer, or you let this one go because they, for whatever reason, and you need to hire a new one, you've got not only the video, but you've also got like this text-based document. So that's some, I guess that's a hack for creating SOPs. Because I don't like just going through the process and snapping a picture, pasting it, typing what it is, blah, blah, blah. I just want to do a video and be done with it. So that's worked really well for me and my personality, I guess, or my temperament or whatever. So that might help for you guys. And then along with this whole, like training part, you need to realize, or you need to figure out, how are these designs going to be named? What does that look like? Are you using a DID system, a design ID system? Are you using a light and a dark version of those design IDs, et cetera, et cetera. And then, like we said before, where are they going to live on the internet? Are you're going to use Wasabi, you're going to use Dropbox, you're going to use Google Drive, whatever. Those are the decisions that you need to make, because those are going to play a key role in creating your SOP, because you're going to want to video you doing that whole thing. Okay, so now I've named this, and now I've put it here, and this is how I've done, and all of those things kind of go into that standard operating procedure. And one last thing, don't worry about making it perfect, because you probably will redo this. I've redone countless SOPs. We've redone our system so many different times. It's kind of nauseating, but you can change your SOP. It's okay to come back later and go, you know what, this doesn't really work, or there's a bottleneck here. I think if we did it this way, it would eliminate that bottleneck and make it more efficient for everyone. So I'm going to re-record it, and I'm going to have my admin VA redo that SOP and change some things. And that's totally fine. So just, you have permission to edit your SOPs.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll say too, it's a hack that I found when I was doing the hiring for the company here in Colorado. It's a Chrome plugin called Scribe, Scribe. And it works really well, because you can record that video and then record yourself, screen capture, and then use Scribe at the same time. And when you click, Scribe makes a note of where you've clicked. It takes screenshots for you, and then you can go into it and edit it, tweak it, and then export it as a PDF or share the link to somebody on your team. So it's a really, really easy tool. Scribe.
Scribed or just Scribe? Because I want to put that in the show notes.
Just Scribe, Scribe. It's a Chrome plugin. Yeah. It does a great job. Saved me so much time, because I had 4 VAs underneath me when I was doing all the hiring, and so showing them how to list jobs and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have to do any of the typing, because it's intuitive enough. It's AI based, so it knows that you clicked file, so it will say click file and then go here and then click this. And so check that out. There's a free plan. Saved my life, and so that might be a good starting point if you're like, I don't really know how to make an SOP, or how's it formatted. Use Scribe. Just walk through the process as if you were going to be training somebody, and it will document all of it for you. So be sure to check that out.
Nice. That's a gold nugget right there.
Yeah. Another free tip, another bonus tip. In the notes.
Speaking of bonus tips, I told you earlier we were going to talk about maybe ways to get more designs for less. And this is, a lot of people have done this, so it's not necessarily unique, but creating scalable designs is really, really a good way to, like I say, get a lot of different designs done and created for a low cost, and so some ideas for scalable designs would be like a list of scalable words. So like, think professions, think relationships, think like family members, things like that. Think vacation locations, think cities and towns and things like that. Now, I will caveat that by saying you might consider doing some trademark checking and some copyright checking on these, because I remember I was doing some scalable designs, and I had a list of like 700 or something that I found on the internet. So you can find these lists all over the place. And when I finally went through them, I think I ended up only using, now I was being very, very, very stringent on what I would and would not use. But I think I ended up with like 450 out of 700 that I actually ended up using and felt really good about. So that's something that you want to consider. And then the other kind of side of this scalable designs, there's kind of those phrases like, I'd rather be insert whatever.
Yeah.
You've seen the shirts that say this guy. I think somebody tried to trademark that. I'm not sure if they got through with that, but this guy loves blah, 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 and you could create another list of things that this guy would like to do.
Yep.
And then, you can use tools like, I know Canva has a bulk create feature. So if you have Canva and you have the pro version, you can, use the bulk create and add those words at the bottom, with a list and like a CSV that you upload, and it'll just populate all those things out for you. Or you could have a designer do that. Hey, I want you to insert all of these names to this phrase, this phrase, this phrase. And then when you're done with that, let's maybe add some elements to it if we want to go beyond the text-based design. So there's a lot of those scalable ideas that you can bring into your hiring that will lower the cost per design, hopefully for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go, folks. There's another bonus tip there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any other questions or maybe something that you've used that we didn't mention, if you've hired designers in the past, let us know. Reach out to us. We're always excited and wanting to communicate with you guys, interact with you guys. So you can go to the Facebook group. You can email us, however you want to let us know. And if this helped you, if you enjoyed the content, if you've never hired someone before and this really gave you a head start, let us know. We'd love to hear that as well. And as Travis mentioned earlier in the show, don't forget to go to printondemancast.com/foundations, because that is coming up. That challenge is coming up on the 17th, starting September 17th. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we're already 3 flipping days into September. So figure that out. I don't know what's happened, how we got here, but Christmas is like less than 200 days away. So it's just wild to me. So be sure to go printondemancast.com/foundations and sign up for that. If you want access to some of those spreadsheets, Travis mentioned design IDs in this episode as well. So if you're like, hey, that sounds interesting, I want to learn more about that, this is the place you'd want to go to find out more about what that looks like and how to set up your foundations in a really, really secure way, so that when you hire a designer, you can track all the things they create and it will be seamless for you. So again, printondemancast.com/foundations is where you go to do that. Travis, anything else before we put a button on this one and send it home?
I don't think so. I think we nailed it, baby.
Nice. And it's under an hour. It's a rare Print on Demand cast episode that is well under an hour, not just barely, but well under. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll be back next week. For Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a minute. Before you go hitting that pause button and jumping into the next podcast, let me tell you about the free Pod Foundations Challenge happening September 17th to 19th. We're flipping the script on how you organize your print-on-demand business, giving you the same organizational spreadsheets I use to keep track of all my designs, my SKUs, and everything else I need to create a listing on any channel. Can't make it to the first session? No worries. Go ahead and sign up and catch the recordings later. Go to printondemandcast.com/foundations today and get in on this game-changing event. All right, now let's cue that outro music.
Hey babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.